As we have told that we will provide some free study material for the various exam like the IBPS FO and state PG exam and CUET. We have started with the free lecture from the soil science, and that's why we have divided into 9 part. That means total 9 lecture will be there regarding the soil science, and that's divided into introduction, rocks and minerals, soil forming and withering, soil profile, properties of soil classification, problematic soil nutrients, and manure fertilizer. So I have made this video in the Hindi lecture too, so you can check out those lecture if you find Hindi language for suitable for you. So in this video I am going to talk about first the introduction. Next video will be on the rocks and minerals. So let's talk about some introductory part about the soil. That soil, actually this word soil comes from the solam, actually made from the solam. Soil made from the solam, and solam means nothing but the floor, and floor is a 3D structure. 3D structure means having the length, breadth and depth. So this is the 3D structure. So basically soil is made from the solam. You have to remember this important point, and this is a 3D structure. If you attempt the soil profile classes, you will find that there are the 4 soil profile: O, A, B, C, and another important is the R. But this A and B soil profile, this A and B horizon actually made the solam, and this solam actually made the soil. Okay, and when we talk about the whole 3 horizon, that is A, B, C, that will form the regolith. We'll come in about this terminology in the later video. Basically we are going to talk about some introductory part today. That's why I am telling you that soil is made up of solam, and solam means floor, which is actually that 3D structure. Why I am telling you that? Because in interview you can be asked what is the definition of the soil. So there you will tell that soil is a dynamic natural body. Dynamic means which is not static, which is actually moving towards and changes happening with this. So in case of soil, the changes is happening, and that's why it is a dynamic natural body, and obviously having the 3D structure because of it is made up of solam, and solam is a 3D structure which composed of the minerals, organic matters, living forms on which plant grows. So this important terminology you have to use: the dynamic natural body and 3D structure. So whenever we talk about the soil, we will find there's 2 important terminologies, the pedology and the edaphology. Now what is the philosophy behind these 2 words? That pedology actually means the study of the soil, the study of the origin of the soil, classification of the soil, description of the soil. And according to this pedology, the philosophy is that soil is nothing but a natural body. But on the other hand, if we talk about the edaphology, the philosophy behind this edaphology is that it is actually study of the properties of the soil which actually directly related with the crop growing on the field. That means we will discuss those soil properties which actually directly linked with the growth and nutrition of the plant. And according to their philosophy, soil is nothing but the natural habitat for plant. That's the difference between this philosophy, and that's why these 2 concepts has born. So you can see this is the study of the soil, and you can see this is the study of the soil properties which actually allowing this crop to grow in a healthy way. Okay, now we will talk about the origin of the soil, from where the soil has actually originated. Basically the soil originated from the rock. How? Suppose this is the rock, and on that rock one phenomenon happens, that is called as the withering. Withering are nothing but the accumulation of some events. It may be the rain, it may be the high temperature, it may be the thunder, it may be the wind, it may be the frost, it may be the plant and animal activities, microorganism activities. Those all form this withering phenomenon, and because of this withering phenomenon, rock actually converted and fragmented into some particles, which is called actually the soil. Okay, so whenever we talk about the origin of the soil, this withering will be covered in detail in the 3rd lecture. Okay, so whenever we talk about the formation of the soil, the 2 type of soil actually comes in our mind. Suppose this is rock and withering is happening. Suppose this is the rock, this is one rock, and on that withering is happening, and because of the fragmentation of this rock, the soil particles are forming just near that soil, just near that rock. There is no distance between the rock and the soil formed from that rock. So that type of soil is actually called as the sedentary soil. Okay, and suppose this is one rock, the weathering is happening with this rock, and soil particles are actually forming far from that rock. Okay, so this is the soil particles formed from that rock, but the distance is much more, and that type of soil is actually called as the cumulus soil. Okay, so you can see that soil is actually divided into two parts: sedentary soil and cumulus soil, found at the site of the formations of the soil, found at the far away from the site of the formation of the soil. Okay, so before going to study about the weathering, which we will discuss in lecture 3, we will discuss about the interior of the earth. Okay, why this is important? Because some few terminologies are there which actually we have to study before going depth in the soil science. So interior of earth, we all know that we have studied in 9th and 10th regarding this part, that this is made up of crust, mantle and the core. Core is subdivided into outer core and inner core. Okay, now core, among these three part, crust is important because it has the seal and sima. Question comes from this topic, from where you will find the seal, in crust, mantle or core. Your answer will be the crust. And another example, another important point is that which floats on which. Seal floats over the sima or sima floats over the seal. So I have written it's like that. I have written in the upper position the seal, and it is actually floating on the sima. So this is the arrangement. And in seal you can find the 65 to 75% of the silica. So this is the only important topic here regarding this crust. And in mantle you will find the metals and silicates and basic rocks, but in core you will find the molten metals. Now, as I have told that the crust is most important among these three, so we are going to talk about the composition of the crust, because basically soil is present in this crust. So whenever we talk about the composition of this crust, we will find that there are mainly 106 mineral present in this crust, and out of that 106 element, only 8 element makes the crust of 98.6%. So 8 element out of 106 constitute the 98.6% of the crust, and those are the 8 element are actually classified as the non-metal and metal. You can see in non-metal we will find the oxygen and silica, which actually makes 75%, and rest of the 25% are actually made by this metal. Those are the aluminium, iron, calcium, sodium, potassium and magnesium. So basically 3/4 are by the non-metal silicon and oxygen, and rest 1/4 are actually by the 6 metal: aluminium, iron, calcium, sodium, potassium and magnesium. So you can see this 8 element. You can see here the non-element 2 and non-metal 2 and metal 6. So this 8 element actually making the 98.6% of the crust. Okay, so this is the important point regarding this crust composition. So in this interior we have to remember that where is the where we can find the seal and sima in crust, and which is actually floating over which. So you can see I have covered this, and the composition of crust is important, which is basically just a simple thing that oxygen and silicon are actually covering the 75%. So that's for this video. In the next video I will discuss about the detail about the rocks and minerals. Okay, in the next video we will cover about the soil and formation and weathering. So this trend will go on, and we will complete this lecture, this soil science topic, in this 9 lecture. So if you find this video helpful, please do subscribe and share this video with your friends. Thanks for watching.